interest in the zebra at all. And from over here, just by the size of his ossicones and also, well, his male appendage, this looks like it is a boy. Yes, it is a boy. Thanks, David. Just confirming. Alright. Now the zebra are crossing the road. I think we're going to cross the road too so we can get a better view, especially of that giraffe that's about to pop out in the open area. So all I'm actually going to do is I'm literally just going to do a sneaky shortcut. Oh no, I can go forward. Let's quickly go forward, because I think it'll be quite nice to try and position ourselves and walk with that giraffe. It's changing direction too. Now, just a reminder, we are practicing ad breaks, of course, so we're going to be going into one. We've still got a little while to go. We've got a minute or so, but just to give you a heads up there, and of course just pretend ad breaks. There's the stallion. Hello, boy. He's walking just to keep up with the herd, and what I'm going to try and do is actually park behind most of the herd so we can see the giraffe behind it. So we can have all the animals together. Norman, please, can you come to the right? Thank you. It'd be nice if Norman... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going over a bit of bumpy section. There he is. All right. Ah, that is perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Now, we are going to be heading into a very short ad break. Don't go away. Stay where you are. Who knows what's going to happen with all of these zebra? We're not going anywhere. We'll see you soon. Right, we're back again. Practicing, of course. Practice makes perfect. One of the most awkward things we all had to do today, which is always quite funny. But myself, James and Tristan, and then Madam Kirst, were sitting in final control today, and we were practicing sort of scenarios, going into ad breaks, coming out of ad breaks. And it is, I promise you, it's the most awkward thing you can do, is have to present while in the company of other presenters. It's one thing do it live, but get us to do anything rehearsed, and it's an absolute nightmare. It's really actually quite comical to watch, and every now and then you'll see a couple of people lurking around listening to us, because it's terribly embarrassing. I know for one, I don't enjoy it 1 second. I'd rather do everything live than have to try and do anything pre-recorded. Hey David, I'm not 2 take Taylor, I'm about 150 take Taylor. And David said everybody is. Thank you. Make me feel a little bit better. But isn't this lovely, though? And again, I love cheetah plains for this exact reason, that we're sitting here. Big open plains, lots of different species of animals. This morning, I think there were big herds of buffalo around here with Tristan, and I cannot wait to get my opportunity to see that. But the oxpeckers are busy, and there's a little fork-tailed drongo, too, sitting in that shot. Not Tesla. Tesla, who's only 6 years old. Hello to you. Now, you're apparently wearing a zebra-striped t-shirt. My goodness, you'll have to come on safari and we can put you with the herd. And you've said thank you very much for showing you the zebra as well as that zebra foal. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. And it really is great to know that we've got so many young viewers out there. Remember, they are the ones that are very important, though you're all very important. But the younger generations, in terms of education and preserving our wildlife, that is where we have to start. We've got to get it into the young minds that it is important to conserve all the natural resources that we do have and all this pristine wildlife. But isn't this just lovely? Now, all that we need, because David has requested, he said he wants to see the quailias. So hopefully we are going to get a couple of big flocks of quailias coming through, and I think that would make the sighting, don't you think, David?
Yes.
It would be perfect. Imagine zebra, giraffe, quailias, and then Norman will come in at the end to have the last bit of the show. Now, I've just had a whisper in my ear. Apparently Tristan has got a surprise for you. I'm not going to spoil it. Let's go across to him.
We do indeed. So we don't have Shadow and Cub, but we've got the little prince himself, Hosana. So that completes our cat trifecta for the afternoon, which is quite spectacular, really. So it's amazing to think that we actually have currently at the moment 4 leopards on Djuma. So we've got Shadow and her cub somewhere where we haven't been able to find her, and then James had little Shongile, and now we've got Hosana, who's taking it very easy. As you can see, he's found himself a log to sleep on and is resting at Treehouse Dam. Now, I was at the hyena den and we left because Hosana was found, and we thought we'll just come have a look at Hosana. We might head back to the hyena den a little bit later. Everybody was very sleepy at the hyena den, so we thought we'll come to here and then maybe go back to the den a little bit later and see if Ribbon is back with her little cubs and if they're out and about, and if we can maybe get even some audio like Byron had the other day. So that's the plan for that. But he's still very curious. He's kind of sitting on his log watching around what's going on. And I wonder where he came from, because this morning I drove past Treehouse Dam and there was no sign of a leopard anywhere in this area at that stage, and there was not even any tracks around here. And I don't think anybody even found tracks. We just managed to bump into him on the northern side of the dam, and he loves to lie in that area. It's one of his favorite places. I've seen him lying on that stump before, so he's a happy cat when he's here, and it's a good place to be. I mean, there's lots of terrapins here. There's also a lot of animals that come to drink here, so there's a lot of impalas, a lot of waterbuck that come, and while a waterbuck's probably a bit big for him now, it's still good practice to stalk and chase and to try get into it. Now we're going to do our last welcome back for our TV ads, so I do apologize if it sounds like I am welcoming you all to the show again, but we are just doing our last practice round for today, so it should be fairly simple. Now, as you can see, it's still quite a gloomy afternoon though. It's not exactly very, very pretty out here this afternoon. It's not like the sunrise we had this morning where it was pink and really, really nice. It's still very gloomy, and so I'd imagine it's going to be perfect conditions for the leopards to be hunting. So I would think that's why Hosana is having a little nap at the moment. He's just waiting to save his energy for when it gets dark, and he can then start going and potentially trying to hunt, which will be good if we can stick with him. So we'll see how it goes and see what he gets up to. Now I'm going to hold off speaking just for a little bit so that we can do our welcome back, and then we'll be back into the normal swing of things. Welcome back, everybody, to a dark, dingy South Africa. We are coming to you live from the Greater Kruger National Park. My name is Tristan, and we have just managed to find a leopard, which is really great news. So we've completed our trifecta. So Taylor had lions earlier, James had his leopard earlier, and now we've managed to find Hosana. So Hosana is the little Prince of Djuma, for those of you who don't know. And if you want to know who exactly the Prince of Djuma is, remember you can use #SafariLive on Twitter. And there we go. That's our welcome back from the TV ad. Now let's get back to Hosana, because he's far prettier than my face, and let's have a look at what he's up to. He's still having a little nap at this stage, but I'm sure he will wake up just now. I'm pretty sure that he's going to sort of start stirring from his slumber as it's getting darker now, and hopefully he's going to move around and try and sort of catch something, and we'll be able to then follow him. I'm sure Senzo is dying to use his IR lights and follow a leopard with his IR. So hopefully little Hosana will be a bit more active than he is currently now. But he seems like he's got a little belly on him since we saw him. We saw him yesterday morning, and he seems like he's got a little fat tummy. Ah, Cheryl, you say that Senzo is doing a marvelous job, and he's excellent. Well done, Senzo. There you go. Pat on the back, Senzo. You can give yourself one. And indeed, he has done a very good job today. He's been on point and very quick with his movements, so it's good to see it. It's amazing to see the development of the cameramen as they sort of spend time on the cameras and how they grow, and we really are so fortunate that we have the guys that we do. They're all very, very passionate and all so eager to give the best possible shots possible for all of you at home. So well done, Senzo. But like I was saying, little Hosana's belly is quite full, so I wonder if he managed to get something yesterday. Maybe he found himself some terrapins, or potentially those white-faced whistling ducks. I know the white-faced whistling ducks were going towards Chelapan, and maybe he managed to catch one of the little ones, because we saw them, I think today, they were seen up at Gari Dam, so I wonder if they haven't moved because of him. And there obviously is a lot of terrapins around. There's also a lot of duiker and steenbok, but if it was one of those, we would have probably found him on that carcass. He's not that full, so whatever he was eating was something quite small. But you can see it's quite rounded there, so he's definitely had something to eat in the last 24 hours or so. But that is one relaxed cat. So from sleeping hyenas to sleeping leopard, they're all in that Sunday afternoon, very, very, very relaxed mode. Now, talking about our ducks, I believe James is frolicking about with them. Hopefully he's not in the water like they are, and we'll see which ducks he's got.
I'm just taking a load off, you know. We've had such a wonderfully successful afternoon that I thought I'd just have a small break here. There are our ducks, and oh, I forgot to tell you, I told you 2 lies today. The first lie this morning was when I counted the ducks and said that there were 10 of them, which 2 or 3 of you very kindly pointed out were actually 13. I'm going to count them again, just in case you also told us a lie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, I say. Well, I never did. I think there are only 12. There certainly aren't 10, though. Isn't this wonderful? It's like a little sort of peaceful pond scene at the end of the week. Just before the beginning of the next week, which for us, of course, is exactly the same day in and day out. And somebody said to me today, why is it? She had Sunday blues, she said. And I said, well, we don't get that, of course. And I realized that it's one of the main reasons I like to work out here. I don't get any kind of Sunday blues feeling at all. And it's wonderful. Especially not when I'm sitting looking at the peaceful scene of the little white-faced whistling ducks going about learning life in a little pond. Isn't that nice? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, Jay, we're sitting by the water here. We've been practicing our advertisements, and you very cleverly asked, with the return of the television shows, can we expect a return of Ronald the Rover? The answer is absolutely we can. We will. Ronald will be making a return fairly soon. He'll be doing a few test runs. The only thing about Ronald at the moment, though, is that pan where we used to deploy him, the pan to the left of where the dam is now empty, and that's because this dam is full. And Ronald finds the terrain around the dam slightly more difficult than he does the terrain around the pan. And so, unfortunately, well, this is where he's going to be, but it's not quite as easy. But we'll make a plan, and we'll start to practice with him fairly soon. Now, from here, it is starting to get a little dark, but that's obviously because the clouds are quite heavy. We'll wander up onto quarantine clearings and see what we can see, but I would very happily sit here until it became dark and then wander gently home. The other question to ask of the ducks, of course, is where is Daddy Duck or Mummy Duck, depending on which duck that is. And I think that Drake, or what's the opposite of a drake? Just a duck. Drake or duck. I think he or she is probably off somewhere else, maybe finding food, or as Louise says, in Shongile's tummy. I wonder if Shongile likes to have roast duck l'orange. And Louise is thinking more the crispy Peking duck. Yes, maybe, Louise. I find duck breast rather gamey. It's not my favourite. Then right at the very far end there, Rowan doing a sterling job here. It's not easy hand holding the camera. There is a hardy-dar ibis going, ah, ah, and it's not doing it really enthusiastically, so it sounds a little bit hoarse. Perhaps it had a big night out last night at the Hardy-Dar nightclub just down the road, and it has Sunday blues and feeling very sorry for itself. I certainly don't miss those days of my life. Otherwise, all is calm. Right, I think we should.
I'm trying to habituate the next herd of zebra. No, I'm not. I've stayed in the car. But they are very, very relaxed, which is really quite lovely. You know, it's something that has always frustrated me about guiding, because I kid you not, the thing that people want to see most when they come on safari is zebra and giraffe. Yes, they would like to see the big cats too, but do you think that I could have a sighting of zebras standing still like this, very close to the vehicle, when I had photographic guests? Nope, don't be silly. That could possibly never happen, but I've had the most incredible zebra sightings since I've been here at Wild Earth.
Bless you.
Now it's a safari. Excuse me, little one. You'll get used to my sneezes, don't worry. But it is so sweet, that little fella. Just standing amongst there. And it's a pity there aren't any other foals, because I reckon that they would have been playing quite a bit for us. They're very playful animals. And I'm surprised that, well, sorry. I'm sorry. I cannot. My goodness, the sneezes are out today. Unfortunately, I obviously didn't take enough antihistamines before game drive. But they are very relaxed. But normally at this time of the day, what I was wanting to say is they get a bit rowdy. I always find just as the sun is coming up and just as the sun is setting for the day, though we're not really going to have a sunset, unfortunately. It's a bit dark and gloomy. But normally you start to see them gathering up, and then they start grooming each other, and then from a groom normally ends up in one getting irritated and kicking, and then they all chase each other around. It is fantastic. Or when there are two young stallions battling about, that is pretty cool too. Now, I love the stripes on their legs, and sometimes you see zebras. I've seen zebras that almost looked like they had bleached legs. They had not one black marking at all. And then I've seen others that is, and I normally see it with the stallions. I don't know why. I don't think there's any sort of relationship between stallions having more striped legs than females. I think it's just got to do with genetics. But that one is definitely taken after its mom and has got lots and lots of stripes going all the way down its legs. It's trying to have a suckle, but mom is not cooperating. You might have to go from the other side, little one. Maybe you can win. That's typically what the buffalo do, suckling from behind like that. But it looks very funny, don't you think, with its grey? Look, there we go. There, that little one decided it was going to be cheeky, very naughty, put its ears flat back against its head and tried to bite the other mare, as she obviously got a bit too close. Here we go. We might see a bit of action. I think they must have heard me. They always do this. Just as the sun goes down, they get so playful and excited, and they really are fantastic to watch, especially when they're so close, of course. And in the long grass, it's a beautiful contrast. Shame that little one is desperately trying to keep up with mom. Hang on, mom, I'm itchy. I've got a little bee in my bonnet and I'm going to do a buck. I don't think it quite knows what it wants. It wants to drink, it wants to scratch, it wants to buck and play around. Make up your mind, little zebra foal. But look at her, look at wow. She's living up to a mare, putting her ears back. Now, normally they don't really mind the other zebras coming too close to their little ones, but maybe she's just a little bit protective over this one. She doesn't seem to have a younger foal at her side, one from last year, so maybe she's a young mare. Maybe this is her first foal. We don't really know. Of course, she doesn't look particularly old. She doesn't seem to have too many scars on her. She looks in stunning condition. Cedar, now you're wondering if stallions will kill foals that do not have their genes. Now, I've never seen infanticide with zebras before, but I think that, if I'm not mistaken, James and VM have indeed. So there's definitely a possibility, and I think it happens more often than we see. But it's sort of like that in nature. Remember, the goal of these animals, and particularly the males, is that they want to mate with as many different females, barring that they're not monogamous, of course, if it's a bird or a different type of species. But we're just talking about these sort of herd animals now, and we'll bring in the predators, which are not monogamous. They want to spread their genes far and wide, and they want to ensure that they have as much, of course, chance of spreading their seed, if I can say that. So if they do come across perhaps another youngster that doesn't perhaps have their genes, they might definitely, and it wouldn't be a surprise to me if they would take down another foal. But that's just nature again. It's really tough, of course. Now there's a younger foal having a suckle. I think you look like you could be a little bit too old to be suckling, but I'm sure Mom will start to wean that youngster. Normally it's just over a year or so before they're completely weaned. And I think that younger foal needs to learn from this older one's technique, because it's doing a much better job at suckling. Now, James, you said that you love little zebras, and you said that they're mostly just, well, mohawks with legs. And I think that's quite true, with their beautiful straight manes. And I know that there was a question the other day to James, actually, about why their manes stand up straight, whereas domesticated horses, or even broncos and mustangs and whatever that are out and about in the wild, have got normal floppy manes. I'm not exactly certain as to why they stand up. Did we come to a conclusion, Louise? Do you remember that question? We will get into that in a moment. We've only got 40 seconds before we go into another pretend ad break. But we'll get back to that in just a moment. What are we going to say now, David? What are we going to say? Oh, I think we're going to have to play with Tristan. Okay, I have to be professional now. We're going for a short break. Sorry, we're going for a short break. Don't go anywhere. Tristan's with Hosana. Who knows what he might do? Maybe go on the hunt. We'll see you soon. I couldn't help myself. I had to do a little bit of a giggle fit over there, unfortunately. But yes, that sometimes happens. I just thought to myself, what am I going to say? And I didn't start preparing. My mind was racing because I'm too focused on the zebra at the moment. But that is a lovely shot. And we're going to have to pull out the spotlight actually quite soon. It's getting dark very, very quickly.
All the infrared.
All the infrared. Maybe a little, I don't think we're going to have to be able to do that yet. Maybe another 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes before we can put the infrared on. But it will definitely be earlier than we're normally able to, which is quite nice. So maybe we'll actually do a couple of loops around here and see if we can't find ourselves a jackal or two. It'll be quite nice to have a look at them in the infrared and watch them get up to their little, well, whatever they might get up to at night, hunting, just going out and about on a patrol. Right, I think let's carry on from the zebra. Let's go see what else we can find. We actually haven't explored Cheetah Plains very much at all. It's we've literally just come down 3 in a row pan all the way to the boundary, the southern boundary, and then we've made it to the big open plains. I'm not going to push the zebra off the road there, so we'll just quickly go a different way around. I think we'll go check. David, you wanted to go check Buff Pan, hey? We have to go and check Buff Pan. Now, is this a road or is it a 2-track? Haha. We'll never know. Okay. Right, we're going to go and discover whether this is actually a road or if it's from the cheetah sighting we had a few weeks back. Tristan has managed to reposition his vehicle and he seems to have found a better view of Hosana.
Well, we did until Hosana woke up, and Taylor, you need to be careful there, because this morning I was trying to also find my way, and there's lots of little 2-tracks that go all over the place, and it is really actually quite tough to negotiate your way around Buff Pan, but hopefully Taylor will be fine and she won't get lost. We know her propensity to sometimes wander in the wrong direction. She herself always admits that she's not very good with directions. But hopefully little Hosana is actually going to come out of his thicket, because we came round this side so that we would get a nice view of him resting on his log, but it seems now he wants to just hide from us. He's now crawled into the thickest part possible, and really there's very little view of him. So what I'm going to do is just try and put some lights on a little bit as well, because it's getting very dark early this evening. This cloud cover is making life a little bit tough. Now, I thought we would have a much better view of him from here, but it seems that I've gotten this all wrong at this stage. Probably going to be better off being back where we are. If he was lying on his stump where he was, you can see the stump is just in that area, it would have been perfect. We would have been able to see his head and would have watched him. And he had at one stage his head over and he was watching the terrapins moving around. So I thought it would be really nice to be this side and we could get some nice close-ups of his face. But he's done us a dirty, I'm afraid, and he's positioned himself in a bad place. So I'm going to reposition, because at this stage we can't really see anything. I just wonder where is going to be best. I think potentially back where we were, because that gives us the view straight across, which means if he's facing across the dam we can then still see him. It is just quite a long way. Now there's no other way I can get to where he is, because there's a very steep bank and a log that is over the front of where he is, so we're not going to be able to see him from the other side. So the only place we've got is from the southern side of the dam, which we will now try and negotiate. Now, as I mentioned, it is starting to get very, very dark and it's very gloomy, which means that our intrepid explorer, James Henry, who's on foot, is going to be in danger if he stays out for too much longer. So I think he would like to say goodbye to all of you before he goes home for his apple juice. So let's go across to James.
It's got so dark I can't see where I am anymore. Obviously that's not true. It is getting very dark though. It's because of the gloomy skies. We'll have one last look at these wildebeest that live here on quarantine clearings. Beautiful herd. I think that they are magnificent. I can't believe how many there are, and I hope they stay a long time. And then, of course, the impala are now into the very, very serious business of the rut. They're making their noises. That's not a very good rendition, but that's sort of what they're doing. And they, much like us, will be feeling rather threatened by the inclemency of the light and the fact that the light is now dying. Let's move slowly up onto the clearings. I'm so pleased Hosana's been found. I missed that update on the radio, but obviously, I mean, I don't know how he's looking, but hopefully he's looking relatively full. And I really think it's a good thing that he's not with his sister, because I think if she kills something, then, you know, he'll probably steal it from her. So it's best that they are not together, I think. Beautiful, beautiful last Sunday evening shot from the bushwalk. Good. I'm not going to try and count those wildebeest. There are too many to count. We've had the 12 ducks, and thank you very much for your comment, of course, that the female duck is either a hen or just a duck. Right, I think that is going to be it from the bushwalk. No, we're going to have a comment first. Yes, Neem, you say, finally, I broke my drought, so congratulations, thank you very much, and thank you all for your patience, of course, during my trying drought times. Hopefully they're over. They may well resume tomorrow morning, which, of course, is when I shall see you. So let's go back to Hosana and Tristan.
Well, we're still here with Hosana. We've repositioned ourselves, and we're now watching him from the other side, which is great. So we're going to have a look at him, at least from this side where we can see him. So he's still sitting at the moment, just looks like maybe he's feeding off something. I'm not 100% sure where he is at the moment, what he's actually doing. He's got his mouth on something, but I can't see what it is. Big yawn. Are you going to wake up for us now? Maybe he was just eating some grass. It seems like he was biting something in there. I couldn't see nicely. Hello, my boy. Now, isn't he so cute? He's such a good-looking young leopard, this. He's going to be such a big boy when he's older, and he's definitely got that typical Karula family look about him. He looks very similar to what she does, and all the boys that have come from her look all very, very similar indeed. Now, where are you off to? Isn't that spectacular with his reflection? Just come out a little bit there, Senzo, and you'll see the reflection on the water is absolutely spectacular. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? So for those of you that like to do screenshots, that's number one right there of him walking along. I'll just try and give him a bit of light so that we can see. Now hopefully he's going to stop and have a little drink for us. Maybe he's more fond of the corner area. Where are you going, Hosana? Absolutely spectacular. I'm trying not to shine the light towards him too much, just using the water to bounce it off. Are you going to drink in the worst possible place for us, where there's a branch in the way? No, I don't think he wants to drink. I think he's decided he wants to start moving now. Is that your new sleeping place? Is that where you want to sleep? Now, we've seen them so many times in this area. This is one of the places that they really like to spend time. Even when Karula was still with them, we'd find Shongile and Hosana and Karula all around these banks and often lying on top here. And he used to check around in these areas because this is a great place where monitor lizards will hide. They like to hide in that sort of undergrowth and vegetation, so I wonder if he hasn't spotted something, because look, he's going into a stalk pose now. Now I'm just going to turn off the light so that I don't show him in case there's something there that he could potentially be stalking, but he's definitely going into stalk mode. Look how he's being very careful with his paws. I wonder if there's not a terrapin at the base there near that thorn tree. Let's see how he goes here. But look how his whole demeanor has changed. He's now very careful about the way he's walking. He's checking every footprint that he's making, and he's even putting his back foot right where his front foot was, just to limit the amount of noise that he's making. Ears are focused forward, eyes are very focused. What are you up to? Is that where you're going to watch for terrapins? Well, clever boy, he's gotten himself a bit of a height perspective now, so he can see into the water, and if then anything comes out, he'll be able to leap on it from there. He looks a bit bewildered, doesn't he? He almost looks like he's unsure of what he wants to do. And he's watching some of the birds that are flying over as well. He's got a very, very curious face, little Hosana, and it's generally because he's up to no good. He seems to be a leopard that is always busy and always doing something. So nice to see him up and awake. Now, I know that it is getting quite dark, but I don't want to shine on him, especially if there is some terrapins that are close by. See if he maybe can get a chance to get a meal. At the end of the day, we don't want to disrupt any chance they can get, because it's not easy for them at the moment. Without mom around, they really are having to fend for themselves, and it makes life a lot more difficult to be able to find the food that they need. But isn't that beautiful? Now, I think a toss-up for me between him and Tumba, which are my two favorites at the moment. So, Riti, you're wondering what age can a leopard independently hunt animals? Well, I've seen a young leopard of 5 months old kill a baby duiker. So, I mean, that's probably a once-off thing, but it just shows you that they are capable already of getting food. I know of a leopard that was unfortunately lost its mom at 10 months, and it survived. It managed to eat lizards and insects and all kinds of things, and snakes and terrapins, and it made it to be an adult leopard that lived a long life. So, you know, when they get thrown in the deep end, they tend to be able to do it. But I would imagine that, you know, effectively, generally, it's between sort of 14 months and 2 years when they get left by their mom, and that's when they're able to actually start hunting quite effectively. So Hosana, though, has already brought down a number of quite big animals. I know he's brought down a duiker, I know he's brought down a fully grown impala, so he's doing just fine. He's taken to this single life like a duck to water, as opposed to Shongile, who struggled for the first few weeks, but she seems to have worked it out now. She seems to have worked out that terrapins are the way to go for her, and that's what she's doing. She's just going after terrapin after terrapin after terrapin, and seems to be doing really well and sustaining herself. And then the other day she managed to get a scrub hare and a duiker, so she's also starting to work out the techniques, and as time goes on, so they'll get better and better at what they're doing. What's wrong, my boy? You look very unsure as to what you want to do. Now, once he goes behind there, we're not going to be able to see him for a little bit. Hopefully he won't stop there, because it is really quite dense. Now, I'm going to reposition a little bit because he is going right behind me. So, Ruby and the Sun, you're asking, will they jump and catch birds in midair? Well, yes, they can. I have seen leopards do it. Now, one of Karula's sons, Shivambalana. Now, Shivambalana means an emerald-spotted wood dove, and the reason why he's called that is because the first kill he ever made, he was sitting on top of a termite mound, and an emerald-spotted wood dove came flying past, and he jumped up into the air and grabbed it and ate it. So that's why he got the name Shivambalana. That's where it comes from. And so, yes, leopards do it often. They regularly will jump up and catch things like francolins and guinea fowl, doves, anything that they can really get their hands on that flies close enough to them. So they do it. Not probably as good as what a caracal can do, but they are able to do it. Now, Lou has just said to me that they once had quarantine on the live drives that almost caught a guinea fowl that way. So there we go. It's another case in point. So they do it more regularly than we think. Now, little Hosana has actually just appeared out of the bush, so he is there, and he's just coming to the edge of the water. So he's looking around still and still trying to see what's going on, but at this stage no terrapins on the edge. It's not probably the right time to catch terrapins. Generally the terrapins at this time of the day. Oh, what's he got there? There we go. What have you got? Did you find one? Did you catch one? What have you got there? Was it a rock? Maybe you got fooled. No, you got fooled. It's a rock, my boy. But good try anyway. This is the trials and tribulations of being a young little boy in this area trying to find terrapins. Now I'm going to go back a little bit because he's coming straight to where we are, and I think he's going to use the edge of the water just to keep looking. So I just want to go back a little bit, so that if he does come around the edge of the water, we're not in his way. There we go. Now he seems like he's going to come out just in front of us here. Hello. Isn't he looking great? He's such a majestic animal, this. Still got so much confidence, even though he's on his own and Mom's been away. He still really does have that swagger about him that male leopards do get. Where are you off to? And I wonder if he's not off to one of his favorite places, which is the pans on Shabamu. That's where he really likes to go, so I think that's where he's heading at this stage. Maybe he's spotted something on the edge there that's now caught his attention. Okay, let's just turn around again, because he's gone behind us once more. Hosana, you're making me chop and change where I am quite a bit today. There we go. Now we can see him quite nicely again. There he is. Now that he's stalking a little bit, I think what we're going to try and do is try and put our IR lights on, and so that we don't have to use the spotlight anymore. So we're going to try and see if we can do that. It's not the easiest thing to do because we've got to screw them on and attach them. And like I said, I don't really want to shine on him if he's stalking terrapins across the water. Now, just scanning along just to see if I can't see any terrapins. There were quite a few of them that had their heads up in the middle of the dam just now, but they seem to have all gone underneath at this stage. But like I say, we would like to put our IR lights at some stage so that I don't have to use the spotlight anymore. Andrew is just calling me on the radio. Go ahead, Andrew. Yeah, FM, he's just on the southern side of the dam now. You can make your way and join me as a second. Let's just stop to watch now and just to check what's happening. So, sorry about that. I just had to quickly tell Andrew where we are so that he can come and join us and bring his guest to come see little Hosana, who's not so little anymore. I think even Shongile, I was very surprised to see how much she's grown in the last little bit. She's caught up a bit with Hosana. She's no longer dwarfed like she was by him. So they both have grown and they are doing exceptionally well. It's been really tough for them just to kind of be left alone and now to have to deal with this situation by themselves. You can see it is getting really, really dark now. Now we're going to get our IR equipment all sorted out so that we can watch this little leopard without interfering too much. And while we do that, let's go across to Taylor and see where she is and whether or not she's had any more luck on Cheetah Plains.
Sadly, Tristan, we haven't, but it seems as though, excuse me, the entire team has had a little bit of luck today. Isn't that fantastic? From the lions, the Styx Pride and their lovely little cubs, to of course James finding Shongile on foot, and then, well, Tristan coming in with a triple threat and picking up on Hosana, which I think is quite fantastic. I think we've done very, very well this afternoon. We've had a couple of quiet drives, but that's the beauty of it, is that you get to spots like this on a day like today, and it is just absolutely fantastic, which is really cool. But we're bumbling about now. Our plan is to actually head towards Chitwa, to go and have a look on the big open plains in front of the lodge. And the reason for that is the other night I noticed that some of the hippos were coming out of the water on our way home after the show had ended. So I thought, because it's getting dark so quickly, if we go there now, sort of for the last half an hour of the show, we might get lucky and see them out of the water. And we're in Rusty, which is pretty cool, so Rusty's got quite strong signal around there too, and then we can possibly do hippos in infrared and see them going about their evening. That's something we haven't really had a chance to watch, is hippos doing their thing at night. And as you've seen with hippos, they don't particularly like a spotlight, so if we can sit and view them in infrared, I think that they'd be a lot more comfortable. And that's something that I used to do a lot in Zambia, not with infrared unfortunately, but just sit out on the deck on a full moon and watch all the hippos grazing out in the open area in the floodplains in front of the lodges. So that was really cool, so I think that will bring back some fond memories. And seeing that, and maybe we get to see some of those little hippopotamus calves that have been around. It'd be nice to see how much they've grown and sort of their size when they're out of the water and standing next to Mom, and especially for all the new viewers who have just started watching us. Hang on, what was that? And who perhaps don't really know what hippos look like out of the water or how big they actually are. Hang on, I thought I saw some eyes in here. It is that a bush baby? Oh no, it was not a bush baby, it was a nightjar. Now, I'm not sure which nightjar it was. It could have been a square-tailed nightjar or a fiery-necked nightjar, easily one of them. When it's a quick sighting like that, it's almost impossible to tell the differences. But when they are sitting down on the ground in the middle of the road, you can tell the difference quite easily. Now, nightjars are particularly difficult. If you pick up a book, or even if you just Google, I don't have my bird book with me, you'll see they look exactly the same. But the fiery neck nightjars don't have as much white on their wing panels, and then also the fiery neck nightjar has got like a rufous colored patch on the back of its head, whereas the square-tailed nightjar lacks that. But if we find another one sitting on the road, we'll have a look and then we'll try and identify it together. They've got very different calls, so when they're calling, it's quite easy to tell the difference. We all know the fiery neck nightjar call, whereas I don't know if I can do the square-tailed nightjar call. It's sort of, I can play it. I've forgotten I have an app on my phone that allows me to do all of these wonderful things. Let's do that. Let's go bird app. Where are you? There you are. Are you ready? Now we've got to go to nightjars. We've got to go to N. Oh, that was pretty easy. Now we have to turn the volume up. We'll play the fiery neck nightjar for you. Nope. That's the square tail. Can you do that noise? No, it's terrible. Let's play the fiery neck this time. That one. Beautiful. So those are two calls that we're going to be looking out for this evening. Right, let's check that everything is good to go. Ooh. Rusty's revving a little bit again this afternoon. We're going to keep searching. We're going to head straight towards Chitwa Dam now, and hopefully our hippos are out of the water and waiting for us. But let's go across to Tristan, who has got an infrared version of Hosana.
We do indeed. So we've switched to infrared version, which is far better for both Hosana and for us. It feels a lot better not to be shining a light on him. And now he can go about his business in complete darkness, and we don't have to stress too much that we're affecting any of what he does. Now, he is still on the edge of the water, just peering into it. Ever so hopefully I'm sure it's almost like wishing on a wishing well, that something will just magically appear in front of him, that he actually really doesn't have to do too much effort to get it. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work that way, so he's going to have a tough time of it for now. He might have to reassess his game plan at this stage. Yeah, I think he's decided no more of this. Let's carry on now. We're going to find a better way to do what we're doing. But isn't he beautiful? And he's not looking too skinny at all. I mean, he could do with a meal, but he's not as though he's overly skinny. He's looking as though he's very well fed. He's muscular, so he looks really good. I'm very impressed. He's done so well to adjust to this solitary lifestyle that he's now in. Absolutely incredible. I never ever get tired of that moment when a wild leopard walks within a few meters of your vehicle. It's such a special experience. So Rick, we had this yesterday, and I'm actually not sure. I tried to sort of see if I could find out how much they would need daily, because somebody asked yesterday how many calories do they need daily. So I was trying to kind of work it out and try and see what I could find out, but I didn't really come up with much. So there are theories as to how much they eat, but because a leopard in the wilds is different to that of a captive leopard. I mean, captive leopard, they'll feed it every day, and they'll feed it sort of 10-15 kilograms, and that will last it. Here in the wild, these animals will catch something like an impala that weighs close to 100, and they feast off that for 3 days, and then they don't eat for a week. So it's really difficult to say how much they actually need just to sustain themselves, just to survive. But it seems like Hosana and Shangili are getting enough. I mean, they haven't lost condition. It's not like they are super skinny and that we're seeing their hip bones protruding. At the end of the day, they're actually still looking quite good. They look still muscular. Their sort of structure is really, really good. So I think they're obviously finding enough in the terrapins that they're eating. So I would say probably for a leopard of Hosana size, maybe 5 kilograms a day minimum of food, maybe less. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe some of you out there will know, and you can let us know on #SafariLife. That would be a big help if somebody does find some concrete evidence. It's also obviously depends on the age of the animal. So if it's a young leopard like this, it's going to be eating a little far less than something like a male leopard. There's also then a varying degree of what is just to stay alive as opposed to what is well fed. So Tony, the reason why they're eating terrapins instead of impala at the moment is because an impala is a clever animal. It is very, very, very aware of the fact that there are predators out here. It is always on the lookout. It's got ears, it's got eyes. There's generally herds of them as well, so they really do look out for what's going on, and they often then can spot predators coming. So it's a really tough animal. Plus the size of an impala is really sort of double the weight of what Hosana is at the moment. So it's a tough animal to bring down for a young leopard. It's not easy to get there and actually physically bring it down. So a terrapin is far easier. A terrapin comes out onto the bank, they quickly just jump on it, grab it, and then that's it, and they've got it. So it's just a matter of sort of ease for them, and they're learning all the time. Every time they grab a terrapin, that sort of jump and that grab is kind of teaching them how to then potentially hunt something else. Now he seems like he's spotted something. You see he's just running along the road a little bit. Now, what have you spotted, Hosana? Now, Andrew has joined us, so we're going to now start doing our leapfrogging business, where we each get a chance to be in front. And since we've had Hosana for most of the sort of last hour, I'm going to let Andrew just come past me so he can get a chance to see the leopard, because he hasn't seen it yet. So we are going to give him a chance quickly, which means I'm going to turn off my light so that I do not blind him as he comes past. Hosana is just still going. Now it seems like he's heading down towards back towards Weaver's Nest area, and maybe back towards Baboon Pan. He seems to really favor Baboon Pan at the moment. He really likes that area and likes how it sort of works for him, and he seems to be finding a lot of food. I think there's also quite a few catfish that are around that area, and so catfish are another huge source of protein and are probably a little bit more tasty than something like a terrapin, and that's why he's enjoying going towards Baboon Pan more than what he is hunting in places like this. The other side of Baboon Pan is that it tends to be a series of very shallow wallows, and that's much easier to hunt in and even jump onto a terrapin than something that's deep like Treehouse. And he towards the end, when Karula was around and just before she disappeared, he was playing around in water quite a bit until they got to Twin Dams, and there was Boris the Blade, and that's when Karula started to growl and hiss and try and keep them away from the water. So I wonder if he didn't learn a valuable lesson that day, that big water places like this often can house a potential threat in something like a crocodile, and therefore it's better to stay away from big water sources and rather utilize these small little pans where there's no real threat of crocodiles in them. It would be very, very big surprise if there was a crocodile in somewhere like Baboon Pan or those muddy wallows around Twin Dams. Now, like I say, we just play a game of leapfrog, so Andrew goes ahead for a while and then he will pull over for us and then we'll go ahead. So it's one of those cases where we just have to be a little bit patient with what goes on. But Hosana doesn't seem to worry too much. He's still just going down the road, minding his own business, doing his thing. So there we go. Andrew is just pulled off, so we're going to just get in front for a little bit and spend some time with Hosana. So you can see he's just ambling along, and I think he's almost like he's waiting for something to come to him. So as he ambles, if he sees something like an impala, he'll then potentially start to stalk it, which now means he's stopped in the middle of the road and is not moving too much at all. What's he got? A little scrub hare is what he's busy hunting now. So there's a little scrub hare that's just in front of him. So now he's gone into a low crouch to see if he can't get a little bit closer. Now, a scrub hare would be a great meal for a young leopard like this. The problem is that a scrub hare is very, very fast. And so where he is now is probably a little bit too far away from that scrub hare. He'll need to get a little bit closer. And what he'll be wanting to do is wait for the scrub hare to actually come towards him, and he just lies in wait, and then as it comes he can use that explosive speed to get to it. Now you can see in the infrared really helps us. We can see where it's very dark, and you can see the scrub hare just in front there that's on the road. Now let's see how Hosana goes. But see how opportunistic a leopard can be. We were just talking about now how he will be walking along and hoping, and look, the scrub hare is running straight towards him. I don't think the scrub hare has seen him. Let's see how patient he's going to be. He's got to wait for it to come right close to him. Isn't this incredible? Don't think that scrub hare knows that leopard is there at all. So he's now in full crouch, and I wonder how much closer it's going to get before he decides to pounce. Here we go. Is he getting ready? I think the scrub hare realizes something's not quite right. Isn't this amazing? So you can see the scrub hare's gotten a lot more alert now, so it's stopped, its ears are perked up, it's listening, it's trying to sort of see what's going on. I think when Hosana moved slightly, maybe it heard something and it knows something is close by. But for Hosana, the scrub hare turning its back is not the worst thing. See, now he's just lifted his head slightly, but the bank of grass that is on the road is actually quite big and thick, and so he's going to be able to just crawl slowly along. And I wonder if he won't be able to get a little bit closer and then use that bank of grass to his advantage, where he's able to get to the behind the scrub hare and then launch an attack from the back. Isn't this incredible? Absolutely amazing. And this is the advantage of having something like an IR light, is that we're able to see things that we wouldn't normally see. Generally, when an animal is hunting, we try and turn off the lights and we try not to disturb anything too much, and so we try and keep the lights off just enough that we can see what's going on. So Andrew's just trying to put a bit of light on the side so that his guest can see a little bit, but without blinding the scrub hare or showing Hosana. But for us, we can see a clear picture because of the infrared capability. It's an absolutely amazing tool, and this is where it pays off, is to be able to watch things like this is absolutely incredible. Now, these kind of hunts don't always just happen straight away. It sometimes takes patience. I've seen leopards stalking impalas for a number of hours before they actually launch their attack, and this is what Hosana is going to have to start learning. He's going to have to learn that patience game. He's not going to just have to run up and grab something. He's going to have to wait and sit and hope that the scrub hare comes closer towards him like it was. I think the scrub hare knows something's not quite right, and there it goes bounding off. I think you may have missed your chance, Hosana, but let's see. Maybe he's going to just quickly trot down the road. So Lisa, you say that he was incredible and he showed such patience, not even a tail flick, and he has to. That was really, really good for Hosana. And you can see, look how he's walking. He's walking quite gingerly now, so he's just checking around the corner just to see if that scrub hare isn't in fact still close by. But let's try and see if we can just follow slowly behind him. Thanks, Andrew. So we're going to just try and see now if he's not potentially still there. Now, I think we can stay in IR mode. It's not a problem. Because I don't want to shine too many lights, because I don't want to chase the scrub hare or show Hosana too much. So I'm just keeping enough light that I can see where I'm driving so that I don't drive over anybody. But I'll just try and see. And maybe it's going to be better. There we go. So I don't know, where has he gone now? I wonder if he's not used the bush on the side here just to jump in. I don't see him anymore. This is the thing about a leopard, is when it wants to disappear, it can. Now, he may have seen the scrub hare run down the road and he's trotted down the road a little bit further. But I don't see him. Oh, there he is. He's just a bit further down. So he's moved quite far. The scrub hare's obviously run and he's decided to leave it. But that was so close. Wasn't that exciting? It was amazing to watch. I'm a little bit sad for Hosana. I'm glad for the little scrub hare. Since it was Easter last weekend, I'm glad that the little scrub hare made a break for it and got away. And Louise says her heart was in her throat, and I agree, Louise. It's one of those moments where, you know, we just want to see Hosana do so well and really come of age and get a good meal. So it was kind of one of those moments where I was just hoping he was going to launch and hopefully get it. But at the end of the day, he didn't, and that's how it goes. And so earlier we were talking about how difficult it is to hunt the mammals, because the mammals at the end of the day move and they are alert and they have senses, because if they weren't good at getting away from predators, they wouldn't be alive today. So that's a prime example as to why the terrapin is much easier than even something like a scrub hare. Now it seems like he's going straight back towards Baboon Pan. He's walking that typical angle, so it seems like he is going that way. Now I'm going to let Andrew come past and have another look while he walks on the road. But wasn't that spectacular? We are so fortunate to be able to witness these kind of things in nature, to sit with a male leopard and spend time with him. Now he's trotting down the road. I wonder if he's not seen that scrub hare up ahead. Now I just want to let Andrew come past, because at the end of the day, like I say, they also want to have a look at the leopard. But how special is this? We're going to keep going with Hosana, and maybe he's going to get right with the scrub hare. And while we do that, let's go across to Taylor and see where she is and whether she's had any luck of her own this evening.
Not just yet, many impala, but we are on Chitwa at the moment, and we're not too far away from the dam, which will be quite exciting. I've got my fingers crossed, and well, David and I are hoping that we are going to see some hippo out of the water this evening. As soon as I've said it, I hope that nature doesn't bite me in the bottom at 12, like it normally does when I say listen to the birds calling and they all stop calling. That tends to happen to me a lot. I don't know why. Perhaps I'm just going through a little bad patch. But we're sort of racing towards that area. We're bypassing all the impala so that we can spend as much time as we can, hopefully with some hippos. But let's see. Right, it's a little bit quiet out here. Literally, we've only just been seeing impala. A couple of nightjar. That was real South African coming out there. Just watching a couple of nightjars, but they're not hanging around long enough for us to put the camera on them, so I can do the whole identification of between the square-tailed nightjar and the fiery-necked nightjar. So we'll have to try that again at some other point. But let's see. Or maybe we find a nightjar just around the corner. Not a bad spot. There's lots of insects out tonight too, so it would be a good little place. What's down there? No, nothing. Impala again. I keep seeing lots of eye flashes and I get very excited. But it is unfortunately just the impala. Scan very carefully here. Cedar. You're wondering how many lights I have on the vehicle? Well, 1, 2, 3 plus the LED, so 3, and then these 2 over here, so that's 5. Then this one, 6, plus the presenter light, 7, and if you count the infrared light, 8, and there's one of these little lights that sort of shine off to the side at the back, So 9 lights. We like a Christmas tree. You must see us coming. I suppose that's actually one of the funniest things, is that we sort of look like spaceships when we have got all our lights on coming at you. And it's very, very funny indeed. It's a bit disorienting. The lights are extremely bright. But we are about to go through the little dip just before we get to the dam. And I know there can be a couple of gremlins around. Let's hope.
So sorry about that. Taylor has just gone through a bad section, and so the little gremlins have creeped in and they've cut our feed from Taylor, but we're back and we're here with Hosana, and he is still looking around. He's just cut off into the bush here a little bit and he's sniffing, so I don't want to really go in after him just yet. We'll wait until Andrew has had a good visual, and then we'll try and see where he's going. I think maybe what's happened is that something's gone in there, and so he's just looking around, and once he's done looking, he'll then start to come probably back towards the road. At the end of the day, they like to use roads a lot more because the road is a much easier place to walk. If you're walking in the bush, there's ticks, there's grass that goes in your eyes. It becomes quite difficult. But on the road, it's really nice and easy just to be able to walk around and move. So that's what he's probably trying to do at this stage, and we'll see what happens from here. If he does start to come back to the road, then obviously we'll just keep following him. But if he goes into the bush, then I'll try and reposition so that we can see him. And if he carries on in the bush, it's going to be quite difficult to follow him, because where we are now is very, very thick all the way from here to Twin Dams. The next sort of road from here is Twin Dams, or if he comes out on the fire break to the south of us. But both of those are quite far away, and negotiating them at night is not the easiest thing. So hopefully he comes back towards the road. That would be far better if he did. Now, I can't see him myself. I don't know where he's kind of gone. He was just to the left of Andrew's vehicle, off on the side there, but I don't see anything at this stage. Let's try see if we can't go forward a little bit. So let's see now. I'm hoping that he's just here to our left-hand side. Now, I don't see him at this stage. It is really, really thick in there. So I don't know where he's gone. So Andrew's just telling me that he's gone into this bush here. So I'm going to try and see if I can find him. But like I say, this is not going to be very easy to negotiate this. This is as thick and as dense as it gets. But let's try anyway. Senzo, are you ready? Okay, Senzo says he's ready. I think, Senzo, we're going to have to be more than ready for this. This is going to be serious. But let's try and see what we can get through here. There's a number of fallen over trees and thickets. I'm going to have to use my spotlight for a bit, I think, to try and just actually see where I'm going at this stage, because it really is very, very dense in this area. As you can see, we're trying to kind of get our way through, but I don't see an easy route through here. Now, at the end of the day, I think we might have actually lost this leopard, but let's just try. The problem here is the elephants, so there are so many fallen over knob thorns, or pushed over knob thorns, should I say, not fallen over, because the elephants have done it, and they've pushed them all to try and feed off them during the drought, so it makes it really difficult for us to see. That, coupled with the fact that the grass is so long, means that we're really going to struggle to try and get anywhere near where there's no way through here. I'm just trying to see. I don't think so. I don't think we're going to be able to manage to get anywhere in here. This is all very, very dense and lots of fallen over trees. Where he's gone now is almost impenetrable. I'm going to just try and see if I can't try one more place to get through. So I know it's quite noisy, and I do apologize for the noise and the trees and the car revving. But really, this is the only way I can try and see if we can find him again. But it is almost impossible. I'm hoping he's going to be a good boy and come out for us, and we're going to be able to just see him. Careful your head, Senzo. Because there's going to be, otherwise, no other way. So I'm just searching in here. It's a lot thicker than what it actually looks, I can tell you. It's almost like a wall. Hosana, where did you go? Let's see if there's maybe not a way around this side. So I think we're probably, unfortunately, going to maybe have to just call it quits and leave Hosana to his thing. If he's cut into here, it might be that he's now searching for something to hunt, and I don't really want to crash around too much with him if he's hunting, because at the end of the day I don't want to disturb him too much. But really there's no other way around where he's gone. And this is the amazing thing about a leopard, and it always amazes me, is that when they want to be seen, they'll casually walk on the road like he was doing, but as soon as they feel like it's now time for them to carry on and to get about their business without any intrusion, then they end up just disappearing in 2 seconds. Now, I can't see him anymore. I don't know where he's gone. From here, there's nowhere for me to go. So I think, unfortunately for us, that's going to be the end of our evening jaunt with Hosana, which is a pity. I was really enjoying being with him, but I'll keep trying a little bit. And while we do that, I think Taylor's managed to get rid of the gremlins, found herself some signal, and is ready to talk to us again.
I am ready to talk to all of you. Just by the way, Tristan, a message from David. David says, "Go boyki, go for it." So he's basically saying that he should follow Hosana. I probably would have done the same thing as Tristan. Unfortunately, we went and checked on the open plains. I think we actually could be a little bit on the late side for the hippopotamus. I think that they perhaps came out of the water a little bit earlier, because I did see some fresh dung next to one of the roads. So I think it was a bit of a fail this evening, but we'll keep it in mind for next time that I am driving Rusty, and we'll go back there and try again, because there's so many hippos in that dam that it would be quite beautiful to see a number of them. But I suppose we can't have everything. We've had such good cat sightings today that nature said we cannot be too greedy. You cannot also have hippo out of the water, which is fine. We'll just have to save it for another day. It's something else to look forward to. But we're coming up to the Mulwati in a moment, and I can see lots of spotlights off into the distance, so I'm not sure what exactly is happening. I'm actually not exactly sure where Hosana was found either. I can't remember now. What? Baboon tree? Oh yes, treehouse dam. Thank you, Louise. Sorry, my goldfish memory kicked in and I completely forgot there for a moment. So yes, I hope that he finds some dinner tonight, maybe something bigger than a scrub hare, to keep him, or to keep his appetite satisfied. It would be nice if he could catch an impala or something along those lines. Oh my goodness, there's lots of insects tonight. Earlier I said that there were lots of insects. That was an understatement, because as we went over the dam wall towards back towards the open area on Chitwa, Darby and I had to put our heads down and duck, because you could not even see anything. There was just a wall of insects all around us, and I suppose that's normal. Insects like to hang around water. Now we've got a car behind us, and we've got a car coming up in front of us, so I haven't quite decided where we're going to pull off just yet, but I suppose I better start turning some of my lights off so that I don't blind the rest of the population, as they don't have 9 lights on their car. They only have 1, 2, 3 sets of lights, so we shall be courteous and we'll turn those down. Let's go through. Maybe we'll have some luck with a chameleon this evening. It's very nice. Right, I found a little spot. Let me pull over. I think that will be the safest bet, if I just switch off over here and let everybody come past me. Now, hello Ellie, you're wondering if the animals are less active at night. Well, it depends. You have diurnal animals, you have nocturnal animals, and you have some animals that don't mind what time of the day it is. So typically the predators, barring wild dog and cheetah, normally they are hunting during the day, but again on full moon, when it is nice and bright, it's not uncommon to see those two species hunting about. But the rest of them will utilize the nighttime, just because their eyesight is a lot better. I'm actually going to jump ahead while these other cars are having a conversation, so we don't get stuck in their dust. Let's do that. So Ali, it really just depends on the particular species. But yes, things like impala and zebra and giraffe and elephants and buffalo that we're not viewing at night, for us, they're indeed less active. It's just the reason why we can't view them at night with a spotlight is just because their eyes are a little bit more sensitive. They don't quite have as many rods, which are the light receptors in their eyes, whereas the predators tend to utilize the lights that we're putting out, or from the stars or from the moon, and that type of thing. This can cause a bit of disorientation amongst the diurnal animals, but that's why we've got the infrared. So if we are in an area where it is open and the animals don't seem to be too panicked, it's not a problem. We can put the infrared on and sit in complete darkness. Well, it'll be complete darkness for us, but you'll all be able to see the animals quite clearly, which is really amazing. I think it's absolutely fantastic that we're able to do this now. Now we're just about to pop up at Twin Dams. We'll just quickly check here around Baboon Pan to see if anybody is around. This is a good spot. It's the favorite spot of Shongile and Hosana. They love it around here. Let's do a quick scan. Got to check up in the trees near the water's edge. If you're Shongile, who loves, well, seems to only be able to catch terrapins. She's an expert terrapin catcher now, but hopefully she'll progress to consistently catching more and more sort of bigger prey like Dacre or Impala and those things. Doesn't look like anybody is home this evening. Just having a quick scan down in these pans. Let's see. Now, speaking about Hosana and Shongile, we've had some interesting interactions between the two without Karula being around. And Priscilla, you're wondering if the two of them will stay together longer now that Karula's hasn't been seen for a number of weeks. No, not necessarily. I think from the video footage that I have seen, or the footage watching after the shows, I think Karula, Shongile has got a short fuse when it comes to Hosana's antics. Remember, Shongile is hungry. She's catching terrapins. She's only going for smaller prey. Yes, she did catch a Dacre, I think it was, on her own. But it's very difficult for her, for both of them, to catch prey, well, regularly. They're not quite as good hunters as their mom was. So they've still got a bit to learn. So I think she's a bit frustrated. She's gone from, I'm not going to waste my time and waste my energy on playing with you, brother, because that energy and that time could be spent looking for something to eat. So I think she's going to get more and more frustrated with him and sort of start snarling, probably growling, and eventually she might have a go at him in terms of boxing him a bit. And I think he'll eventually sort of realize that he's a bit unwelcome, and then he will go off on his own. He's a very playful leopard. Both of them are very playful, but Hosana in particular, he loves a good game, and he loves his sister, of course, and he hasn't quite realized just yet that he is going to have to go off on his own eventually. And I think it must be really tough for them. For all the animals, it's the same thing when an elephant bull gets pushed out of a herd. It's never very nice, because all of a sudden, most of your life, you've had everybody being nice to you and tolerating you, and then over a couple of weeks, everybody just seems to be against you and sort of doesn't like you and doesn't want to tolerate you anymore, and you get forced out, which I can't imagine is very pleasant. But animals adjust particularly quickly, so I think something along that line needs to probably be quite sad, and I'm sure did I just say fairly quickly? We're going to keep searching. We're going to check Chele Pan next to see if there's anything happening that side. Of course, Tristan has left Hosana. I'm not sure what his plans are next, but let's see who can find the first chameleon.
Well, I'm not just going to be doing chameleons, because I've got Hosana again. So he's just in front of me here. He's been an absolute nightmare. This is the worst place I've probably ever off-roaded in my life, and it is horrible in here. There's fallen over trees everywhere, so I'm really battling to even get towards him. But he's just in front behind this bush here, so I'm going to try and just see if I can't reposition. There he is. He's just coming out to the right. You can see him there. Hello, boy. You're making us work tonight. It is very unpleasant where we are. There's thickets everywhere, like I say, fallen over trees, and to negotiate it at night is not very easy. But it's interesting watching Hosana. He keeps kind of putting his nose down and sniffing. I wonder if he's not on the scent of something. Maybe he's picked up the smell of some sort of animal that he wants to hunt. And he's now moving around, and you can see how he's almost disappearing. So to find him in this is proving to be really, really difficult. So I think what we're going to probably do is leave him here, because I don't think I can go any further in this without doing some serious damage to myself and Senzo, as well as poor Wendy, who really doesn't need to be damaged at all. She's got to do a TV show soon, so we need to keep her in good shape. So that, I think, is going to be our last view of little Hosana disappearing into the darkness. And now I've got to work out how I'm actually going to get out of here again. Senzo, you think that was fun? So Senzo thought our off-roading was quite fun. I feel a lot like Brent Leo Smith this afternoon. Seem to have gone places that only a short wheelbase Land Rover can go. It'd be very difficult to get a vehicle anywhere else. I wonder if it's actually not going to be better just to continue on towards Twin Dams, because it seems like it actually starts to open up a little bit now rather than getting thicker. So maybe we'll actually just follow Hosana back a little bit, because the way that we just came was really not very pleasant at all. So let's see how we go here, because it seems to be quite open here. It seems like Hosana's found us a nice little route. Maybe he's going to guide us back to the road. Wouldn't that be nice? Now, where have you gone from here, Hosana? The problem is he's also weaving a little bit, so he's kind of going back and forth in different directions. I think he must have gone to the left here, because it's very, very thick. Senzo spotted him, which is good news. So there he is in front of us, and I think he's just laid down, which will be nice. That will actually finally settle down. Now, if you can spot a leopard, then I would be very impressed. You might just see the tail flick moving in that area, but anybody who can see a leopard there would be very, very impressive. Just watch for the blades of grass moving as he walks. So he's just in front of us, and there's really no way to see him. And this is what I was talking about yesterday on Bushwalk. When tracking a leopard in areas like this, it's almost impossible. You would walk right past this without even knowing a leopard was there. So I'll go forward so you can actually see where he is. So he's just, should be, there he is, just going down into the distance there. There you can just see his ears disappearing over there. So there he is, going through the thickets and disappearing into the long grass. So really incredible. Now that really is the last visual we are going to get of him, because I can't go any further. I've got a fallen over tree in front of me. So I'm going to start making my way out of this mess that I've gotten myself into. But this is what happens. I get too caught up with leopards, and they are such incredible creatures that it just kind of become addicted to them. You don't want to really leave them, and you want to follow them around and see what they get up to. And it's so nice to have Hosana and Shongile back this side. Now, while I try and get myself out of this disastrous place that I've gotten myself into, let's go across to Taylor and see if she's had any luck with her chameleons yet, because now the race is on and I'm in the game.
Oh, Tristan, I think that's a bit dangerous, because you've got to try and get yourself out of that block, which is probably one of the hardest things to do. I think at night it's great off-roading during the day when you can see, but imagine at night in all this long grass, you can't see any logs, you can't actually see very much at all. So good luck to you, Tristan. If it was me, I would have probably broken the car and needed a rescue vehicle to try and get out of there, because I feel as though that happens quite often. But we're approaching Vuurtele Dam now, and I thought we might as well come and have a little look around here, seeing as though Shongile was seen just on the other side of Galago Pan. So you never know, she could have made her way back down towards the dam, because there are normally big herds of impala that hang around here, and I think she knows that. She's got great experience thanks to her mom in this area. I think that Karula has taught those cubs very, very well, showed them all the great spots. And I don't know if you've noticed that, how these leopards are now moving in the same routes that Karula once did, especially Shongile, almost exactly, which is really cool. She's just like her mom. Come on, off you go. And hopefully she does take over this area too. I think that it'd be very, very nice if she stays put. Let's just hope that another bigger or older leopard doesn't move in first, because then unfortunately Shongile, being the less experienced and much smaller, might not stand a chance. Right, chameleons. I don't know. I've checked all my favorite spots for chameleons, and unfortunately I haven't been so lucky this evening. Maybe we'll find a spider, a nice bark spider instead. I feel like that's probably setting myself up a little bit easier. I have got 120 seconds apparently to find either a chameleon or a bark spider. That was just a scrub hare. I'm not going to put any lights on it just because it's having a nervous breakdown at the moment and racing from one side of the road to the other. No need to startle it anymore. Sometimes the scrub hares react well to spotlights, other times they become a bit disorientated and you can see it straight away. But I suppose you can. Oh yeah, Louise is just reminding me of that scrub hare that I think was obviously feeling a little bit on the sad side. Remember how it was running towards me while I was driving, which was made me a little bit nervous. But let's hope we don't have any more of those scrub hares coming near us. It's definitely a fear of every single guide that drives around out in the bush, is having an animal at the last second out in front of your car. It's very intimidating, and then you have to realize you don't go very fast unless you're chasing after wild dogs, that you've got to slam on brakes very, very quickly. Okay, I can see the lights of Weirtella Lodge now, but I haven't heard any alarm calls just yet. But we'll try and park ourselves near the old dam cam and have a little scan around, check the surrounding banks. Ooh, I don't know if we're going to have enough time. 40 seconds to go. I'm putting foot a little bit. Oh, 30 seconds. Oh my goodness, David, will we do it? Yes, I think we will. I'm going to stop right over here. But I've just made it in the nick of time, and a quick scan with a spotlight. No alarming impalas. I don't think Shungile has arrived just yet, but it has been wonderful, and I hope you've enjoyed this sunset safari. Thank you to all of you for watching, and thank you to the whole Wild Earth team. We'll see you tomorrow morning.